Greetings, pals.
Greetings, pals.
Greetings, pals.
Welcome to the podcast Store on the Power. My name is Frank.
My name's Marcus.
My name's Tom.
And here we are talking about movies. Love it or hate it, we debate it. Today we're debating
The fifth. Say it together.
the fifth. How do you...
Le second élément. In the French, I read.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo. Sorry.
Only other language I even know a number
Cinco de
in.
Mayo, am I right?
Cinco de Elemento?
The fifth element. We're talking about the fifth element.
Can everyone just picture Frank on a trip to anywhere that they speak Spanish, trying to order something at a pharmacy?
Gracias. Gracias.
Even if I have a restaurant where it's like, and it's got the English translation, I'll still mess it up. Okay, The Fifth Element.
1997.
Yes, it is. Rated PG. Directed by Luc Besson. Wait, that's French.
Yeah.
That's
PG.
It's a French movie.
PG?
Sort of.
Sort of.
I'm also looking at the stars. We've got Bruce Willis, Mila Jovovich, and Mila Jovovich.
Jovovich.
Who?
I always
Jovovich.
called her Djokovic for years, and it wasn't until I looked at her name properly. It was like, there's more V's in there than I remember. Jovovich.
I still can't get it right. And Gary Oldman.
That's true.
Do we want a quick synopsis?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to regret this, but do you want to ask me why we rate them out of 11?
Oh, yes, I do want to ask you that. It's been a while.
It's the worst one.
The worst... No, it's not. There's no chance
we
it's worse.
promise you it's not going to be the worst one.
It's the typical age gap between Luc Besson and his romantic partners.
Oh, it's a good one.
But here's the thing.
That's bad.
I'm kidding.
He's
It's
not,
normally
though.
much more.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm sorry I can't stop myself from saying this because I just need it on record how much Luc Besson fucking sucks, is an awful person.
Yeah.
He married the woman who plays the operatic
diva.
alien,
Yep.
Mayo,
The blue diva.
when she was 16.
No!
Started dating when she was 15.
No!
And she was pregnant with his child by the time they got married. He was 32. And
Yeah.
then he left her
Yep.
for Mila Jovovich on this movie.
That bit I knew, and I was like, that's
During-
bad. I don't know.
During her scenes,
Yeah.
in fact.
He just
it was all
runs onto
happening,
set and
literally,
just-
decided in real time.
It's insane. He also apparently based Leon the Professional, which of course is I'm blanking, Jean Reno and
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman when she's like 14 on his relationship with Mayon. So
Yeah.
Wait, so he's also a serial killer?
He's-
a paid assassin, I should say?
I think we could just stick with French rapists. Like,
Yeah.
it gets it done. Or like he is
It's
a
hurtful to hear.
despicable person who somehow has a foothold in popular culture. Like people say Luc Besson, and people do go, "Oh yeah, I know that guy." Like he did.
I didn't
he
know
did that
any of this. I
sci-fi.
didn't know any of this
This
about
sounds
him.
like a butler's pantry, very
It does a
prematurely.
little bit, but Butler's Pantries are more fun than this. This is kind of
Yeah,
like
this is not a
this
fun
is a-
11.
We'll get this out of the way,
Fuckless
and then we'll never talk about that again.
Awful.
All right, well,
Awful.
who likes his work? Who likes this film?
So who's here to support him?
Okay, I love this film. Marcus!
Oh, yeah, shout your name if you like this film, Marcus.
We can't decide.
Frank.
Ooh.
Just.
Wasn't sure.
Wasn't sure. And I still am not.
But I was anticipating this third one.
Did not like it.
Did not like
Although I
it.
didn't hate it. I just didn't really like it.
yeah, okay, give me some numbers.
I can go if you want lowest.
Yes, please.
Gonna
As is tradition.
Sit with 5.
Okay.
So like
This could be interesting.
it
Okay.
was, I'm willing to be a little bit led. onto
I'm-
the-
Yeah.
My pal is ready to be thrown.
Yep. Frank, you go next.
I'm a
He's got his sounds today.
speaking of sounds,
Sexual
I'm a
panting.
5.6. Just on the line. That's a fun one. All right, Marcus, you love it. You
I love
shouted
it.
your name.
I love it, but I'm a 7.6.
Oh, okay, so we're all like in
We
the
need
middle.
to talk about love. And like how that
No.
translates to
I
numbers.
love my wife.
It's a broad
7 out of 11.
It's decent 7. 8 on a good day. Like,
But also American Beauty's a 10.
I get that you maybe love aspects of this film, but
Sure.
clearly it doesn't cohere to you into a actual, not even a masterpiece, just a great film.
I think this is a really fun movie. And I think that if you're able to put the blinders on in certain areas, I think you can really just take this as a fun, campy sci-fi adventure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I totally agree with that. I feel like it doesn't know what it is, or the audience doesn't figure it out. Like, oh, it's a comedy, right? Like, it's a comedy, right?
I would argue, being a love on this, the comedy's its weakest point. I'd say the comedy's not great.
Is there a single character you could point to that you would say would be representative of that?
So here's the thing. I know you're about to say Chris Tucker, right?
Yeah.
You didn't like Chris Tucker?
Obviously,
Chris Tucker's the saving grace.
Rudy Rod?
Rudy Road.
Ruby Rod.
Ruby
Yeah.
Road. Road?
Rod.
Fuck. I didn't pay much attention, obviously.
That's okay. It's
Rudy.
Ruby. The colour.
Chris
He
Tucker.
he does two funny things in this movie for me. The
I-
rest of the time I find him terrible. Sorry, go on, Frank. I apologize.
Well, you know he's doing a Prince impression because it was written for Prince. It was meant to be Prince.
Yep.
Did he meet Prince ever? Like, is this really what he thought? I've seen Prince.
That's an accurate.
I've watched interviews with Prince. That is not Prince.
No, but also
He's too tall, obviously.
For the role
for
that
one.
they're going for here, I don't think Prince was right for this either.
Absolutely not. Prince is too kooky.
He's too
But is Chris Tucker right for it?
too serious.
Because
I'd say.
I don't know who's right for it because Gary Oldman's in a totally different film. Bruce Willis is a surfboard.
Yeah.
Mila
Yeah.
Jovovich is
Yeah.
learning to act as she goes.
Ooh,
I think she's all right.
Hard disagree.
I also think she's kind of one of the most successful things about the film, which is
'cause
remarkable
she's-
because to start with I was like, fuck this. And then pretty early on I was like, she's pretty charming.
The first emotional resonant moment that I had was when she gets built by the 3D printer and then she freaks out in the little tube.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she's scared. I was like, okay, cool. And then I was like, it's a drama. It's a sci-fi drama. And then I was like, no, listen to Gary Oldman's accent. This can't be serious.
And tell me I'm wrong, but she's model turned actress, right? Is kind of how she's.
I believe so.
Yeah.
But also, isn't she just, she got discovered, right? Or she auditioned.
I'm pretty sure she was in Chaplin before this. So she's like had a
really?
career. Yeah, she
Okay.
she's played roles or she's been in things before this, but I do think this was her breakout. She was only 19.
I think because of the support of the director and the way she is, I think that she was given a bit of free rein to really play with the role and sort of make it her own. So she was exploring the physicality of it a lot, as you can tell. Mm-hmm. And I think there weren't really any rules, really. She did put a lot of effort into learning this made-up language that they've gone into, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Say
how
what you will about it, but there's a real authenticity to a made-up language that seems believable to me.
Yeah.
She's got a real theatre kid energy when she's babbling in the made-up language.
Yeah,
Where you're like,
yeah,
I just want to show you I did this. I learnt it all, and aren't you proud I can do it fluently? And
Yeah.
I'm like, very well done. Great. You know?
It does feel
Do you
like
not
an
find that
exercise.
endearing, though? I find it...
That's my thing. I kind of like, we saw her get
Yeah.
forged in the little machine. This movie, by the way, we skipped
Wait.
the plot synopsis for a fucking reason. This movie
No,
does
okay.
make
Before we delve,
absolutely-
let's circle back for a sec. I think the synopsis is
All right.
important
Yeah.
for the listener. Frank, when you're ready.
The colourful future. A cab driver unwittingly becomes the central figure in the search for a legendary cosmic weapon to keep evil and Mr. Zorg at bay.
The story is nonsensical.
Yes.
It's kind of just whatever. Who cares?
It's inspired by a French sci-fi comic. Yes.
Okay. If they were
whatever
going to
you
do
said.
like
sure.
is this going to get nominated for a screenplay award? Which obviously, I'm sure it was in contention. It would have gone to a original screenplay instead of adapted. And
Yes.
then there would have been a whole thing.
Yep.
No one reacting to my obviously was in contention. No.
I thought it won, didn't it? I thought it won.
Screenplay's very bad. for
Very
this movie,
good.
But
I was waiting for
it
it.
works despite that, I think. I think it works despite the
Wait,
weight.
what works? The script?
I think the film... Well, I'm saying it works and that I didn't like it. I think the things about it that work are the outrageousness
Yeah.
that go far enough beyond some pretty like basic and derivative shit on the page.
Yeah.
Like it feels very kind of uninspired in a lot of ways. But then you get some shots of the city that I think look kind of cool. You get the pirate ship, the steampunk thing,
Yes.
delivering food to Bruce Willis on his balcony. I was
That's
like, is
fantastic.
this the greatest film ever made? Like, that's an insane moment. I love
Insane
that.
moment and so creative and just like a nice touch of reality of what this world that we're living in is.
It kind of feels a very like budget Blade Runner in that respect.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he
you see-
wanted to be more French, for lack of a better word. Everything about it, it's like they showed him a serious sci-fi
Yeah.
film, and he was
Yeah.
like, no, how you say his tank top? It should be fluoro orange.
and
then-
it's backless.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks good. This is nice.
And then that being said, you open the film with this Egyptian setting, very much like The Exorcist,
I'd
right?
forgotten that happened.
And also
Yeah.
like
Luke Perry looking like a snack.
Luke Perry literally
What's that?
cast.
Stargate. Also Stargate.
Also
She was
Stargate.
I did get Stargate vibes
Yeah.
the second. I was like, oh, is that what's going to happen
Luke
here?
Perry was cast purely to get bums on seats because they're like, well, girls will watch this and that's it. You never see him again.
Yeah, he was useless.
He's in
He
the
is
first-
more handsome in this than almost any person I've ever seen on screen. Like, for a guy I don't think about that much.
I
Those
mean-
first shots of him just looking at his book and he's just like making notches.
Gary
of
Oldman's in the same movie.
Yeah, Gary Oldman.
Gary
So
Oldman.
just
Certainly this. Gary Oldman's character looks like he's just gone through a windshield of a car crash on the way to the Met Gala. And he's like, I'm just going to pretend it's part of it. And he's just like kept it there.
That is so
and kept going.
accurate.
That
hyper
said,
specific, but like perfect.
that said, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun in this as well.
Well, but so hit and miss.
Yeah.
The accent's so inconsistent. And like I said before, they're all acting in different movies, and I don't.
Yeah, no,
It doesn't like the whole time. I was just the only note I made was, "What's happening now? How am I supposed to feel now? Am I laughing? Is this serious? Is it where are the stakes? No idea. The story
think-
is boring.
yeah.
Because it's just like a save the girl plot, right? What's the thing where it's like get the thing to the goal before the timeline?
Well, yeah,
ends.
it is. Yeah, it's like
Ticking time bomb.
yeah
story.
It's the race the clock to save the planet.
Yeah.
trope.
Yeah, and I just didn't care for any of it. And then I expected her to do a lot more because she's this sacred, perfect being, right?
Well, she's the perfect weapon. Yeah.
yeah, and she does one crappy fight scene, and that's it. And you're like,
Is there a song playing, though, that elevates that to the realm of cinematic
This
mastery?
is so funny. You guys are so cynical about this already.
No, I'm not kidding. When this song first started, I was like,
is this it?
like, what are we doing here?
Here we go.
And then, yeah, it sounds like a Prince song.
Does sound like a Prince song.
And once she really starts doing the, like,
Yeah.
Choreo fighting. Oh, they're breakdance
And the-
fighting.
like
Oh, yeah.
it's such a Eurovision song.
100%.
Oh yeah.
It's a real Eurovision moment, and I couldn't be mad once that was happening. Once she started dancing and singing, and
With her foam costume,
Yeah.
as soon as she leaned back, the curl on her blue head was like smooshing into the background. I was like, that's a terrible costume.
it looks very uncomfortable.
But it's also an impossible melody that can't be sung by a human. Did you know?
How I don't understand. How did they get it then?
They just recorded all these notes that we
They
hear right
just
now.
recorded a French woman doing it, which doesn't technically count.
Yeah, Tom, that's exactly what they did. French people are masters.
French are really
that's
copying
just
it.
what he
At
was
least-
getting at.
At least let me try and finish the story of trivia.
Go on.
Well, she had to record all these notes separately, and the editor had to splice them together.
Okay. Well, yeah,
See?
I can see how that
It's
works.
impossible.
With-
That was the perfect point to cut that too. Nice.
It's the longest.
Yeah, good. Now,
Yeah.
We just let that song play.
Oh my
Do
gosh.
we have legal representation for this?
I'll cut it out so it's under 30 seconds.
Who's going to sue us from the makers of this film?
I don't know.
Yeah, so
Google
sewer.
won't let us pay for ads. I think everyone's against us.
That's another story
Oh
for
my
another
god.
day.
So,
Sorry.
Marcus, why do you love it?
why do I love it? It's campy, it's fun, it's got action, it's got sci-fi, it's got a little subplot of romance in there, which is super undercooked, but whatever. I kind of in a weird way buy it. Do you know, I love the moment between him and her. This is Bruce Willis' superpower. He's fine as an actor. He's a great action star. But when it comes to being Mr. Charismatic and just being that little bit sexy, he's so good at that.
Yeah.
He's really
got
charming.
something.
So when she falls through the roof of this cab on her escape from this pod where she's being created, right?
Yeah.
We're jumping forward here, but whatever.
That's actually the start.
I should say her name's Lilu.
Lilu is on the run. Our two protagonists meet through collision, and she asks for help. The only way she can work out in real time is to learn how to say please help.
Yeah.
But the cuteness between these two and the interaction in this cab is so perfect. I love it every single time I watch it. I get a little bit giddy every time I watch them sort of be cutesy.
They do have good chemistry.
And it works for me. And then you want more of that throughout the film, and then you don't really get it again.
What you're making me realize is that the emotionality of it is so raw and so simple. It's almost like a kid's movie. Like it's like when you have two
Are
talking.
you being facetious
No,
right now? Like-
This is
no.
serious-
When I
this is
say
serious voice.
Mila Jovovich's performance in that scene where she goes, "Please help," and I was like, "Oh, what are we doing here?" And then when she said it the last
It's
time
like
and
the
she's
start of-
crying, I was like, God damn it, this is actually
How did
kind
she
of
do that?
effective.
Yeah.
It's like Wall-E.
It's
And
or it's
Eva.
Lilo
Yeah.
and Stitch. It's
Yeah.
like
Eva.
a helpless animated character running into someone else. And you're meant to go like, my little tiny child heart grew 3 sizes that day because
Yeah.
it feels so...
Why do you have a little
you-
tiny child heart?
I just sometimes it swells in the summer heat.
But Tom,
that I've
you-
gotta, like, do you guys want to see it?
yeah, it's on the outside.
Tom, you have a huge appreciation for anime, right?
I don't know if that's. I wouldn't say huge.
Well, okay, but you
I like,
can.
I
like-
like Ghibli.
Raging.
My point is,
Ghibli.
can you not view this in sort of almost an anime style?
I see what you mean. A very, very like over the top and emotionally just like almost.
It's all or nothing
assaultive.
attack, yeah.
Yes,
It's all on the surface for you to see. There's nothing understated.
I mean, look,
Yeah.
Chris Tucker is basically playing an anime character in this. That's
And-
that's a good way of thinking of it. I don't think it works at all, but
No,
I
okay.
know what you mean.
I'm so taken aback by that. I think Chris Tucker's fantastic in this.
He's so divisive. I never saw
Yeah.
anyone online.
But this whole film is divisive.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
weirdly one of the most divisive
And
films
we're
of
all
the last
sort of in the middle.
30 years. That's what my thing where I was just kind of like, yeah, and I don't hate it. I think it's whatever.
This
Yeah.
okay.
You know,
So
people hate this
I've
movie.
said this before, but this is Flick's favorite film of all time.
Yeah.
Even watching this with her again, she spends what I've noticed actively like 70-80% of the film saying how stupid certain moments are. Like she's like, that's so silly, or that would not work, or what's going on here?
But is she smiling while she's saying
Literally.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're enjoying the whole thing every
Yeah.
single time we watch it. We
get
get
that.
enjoyment out of it. We get a real kick out of it. It is stupid. A lot of it is very silly.
Not a lot of it makes sense. And it's so silly. The one that jumps to mind for me is the Gary Oldman choking scene. This is early on. He's threatening somebody, right?
Ian Holm.
He's
Yeah.
threatening Ian Holm, who's
Vito
fantastic.
Cornelius or something?
Yeah, the priest.
Something
He's known as the priest.
Cornelius.
And
Chicken. When she says chicken, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
masterpiece, 11 out of 11. I love her getting the chicken out of the microwave. Sorry.
so hilarious because
Go
it's
on.
like pops up. He threatens. He's terrifying to begin with. You're like, wow, this is a very foreboding energy.
We'll go with it. Roll with it.
And then he eats a cherry and he puts a cherry in his glass, drinks the water, chokes on the cherry. And then it turns into a slapstick, literally a clown at a circus scene. Things are popping up. Cuckoo, cuckoo. There's stuff flying everywhere. And Ian Holm is just staring at him like,
Tom, I tell you what the equivalent of this scene to me is
Yeah.
in the weirdest way possible, and please stay with me. In Game of Thrones, we've lost Frank. Frank, go for a walk. There's
curious
a
as to how you're gonna draw this.
really well-known scene with Cersei. Cersei, did I get that right? It's been a while.
Cersei.
Cersei, thank you. She does the whole bit about power.
We've literally referenced this on the pod before. And
Have
I can
we?
tell you it's season 2, episode 1. Like we've literally done this
That's really
before
funny.
where she goes
Okay.
to
Power is power.
Littlefinger is
Yeah.
threatening her and she's got the red guard with her and she's like, seize him, cut his throat.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I changed my mind. And then she makes them do like the twirly, the fucking, the hooly dooly.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is
yeah.
this?
Whatever.
You put your
The
left
Macarena.
foot in. No.
hokey
Hokey
pokey.
pokey.
Hokey
Holy shit.
God,
But
glad
I
we got
started doing the Macarena. I'm tapping out. Go on. You were saying?
Anyway, power is power. She does this. It's very much led by an example in the scene of how power is power, and that's the whole thing. I think this was very much a device for, and it's a silly way of doing it, and I'm not even sure why Ian Holm then drives forward the point of, you can't rely on all these things. Like, where are the people to help you now? Do you know?
Where's a robot to pat you on the back? And
That's it,
stop
all
you
that sort of
choking?
stuff.
Yeah.
So it was very much it's sort of the anti sort of conversation.
But that's
to
not even a theme of the film of like
No,
technology.
it's a weird moment.
It's
I'm
just
not
like the stupidest
I'm
thing I've ever seen.
justifying a very weird scene and very out of place.
Yeah.
I want to come back to you and ask what you think the theme of the film is in a little bit, Frank. I'm very curious to hear you tell me.
Not
that.
right now.
Okay, good.
Because
But in a
first-
little bit.
Because we can't move past this scene because it's emblematic of the film for me in microcosm, which is it's a scene where I'm like, this is stupid. It's not even that entertaining on a camp level.
Yep.
I'm kind of drifting. Is that a fucking baby elephant? And then I'm just in. The second I see that, I'm like, I love this. And it's just for a little second I get a glint of, I'm
there's-
so glad they do
But
shit
this-
like that.
So there's not enough of that because then you don't know what it
No.
is because then that scene finishes and it goes back to melodrama or
Yeah.
whatever it may be.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
you don't know where you are. You can't get a foothold of like tone.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
And it's impossible to
just
read.
the little paddle pop rainbow coloured. And then isn't there another scene where it's sitting on his shoulder or something? I'm pretty sure.
There's little Jim Henson puppet creatures everywhere. Like there's little animatronic things.
It's crazy.
They do
I thought-
the airport going to the Flotsam whatever
Which
paradise. There's creatures in the background. Like there's things happening all the time. in
It's
this
very
thing.
busy.
and it's never explained.
The design, you mentioned at the start, the design is great. The world building they've done, the special effects, the creatures. I think the design of the robot creature at the start, the big ones that come through and land in Egypt, I was like, they're dumb, but I love them.
That's basically
they're like,
me as well. I kind of because the door starts closing. He's like, "You still have time." And he's just like waddling slow. I'll never make it.
Gets his little key.
Yes.
it's that scene
gets-
in Austin Powers with the steamroller.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, why didn't that robot come back in the last scene when they go back to that space in Egypt and do the
Well, they
four
just up and
elements
vanished.
fire?
They just vanished.
They'd vanish.
They're
But
just not
why?
there.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
He comes out and he goes, "I'll help you with my key."
Beep bop bop bop.
I don't.
That's
think
what he said, right?
A lot of this film was made with
Any thinking? Any
with,
forethought?
with long-standing continuity in mind, where it was
Oh,
like, if we
God,
introduce
no.
this,
Yeah, true.
this has to come back, and we've also got to make sure that this, for the characters. Here's my main criticism: be great if your primary protagonist and your antagonist met each other or had a
Ever.
fucking scene together.
And everyone thinks that's
And
so.
wait,
it's so
even better.
bad.
There's two protagonists, antagonists. My apologies.
Besides Gary Oldman,
the big bad, the thing that's going to destroy the planet. It has an
Oh
actual.
yeah, the big floating
but
star.
it doesn't
energy
actually have a
thing.
physical presence, isn't it? Just like some sort of gargantuan.
But it speaks through phone calls at
Yeah,
some
that's-
point.
Oh, that's right.
It's a real
That's
thing.
what that is. Because then
It communicates. It warns them.
you know,
It
there's not
comes
a lot
back
of there's
every.
not a lot of context to it.
No.
You know what I just said about them not keeping the continuity? I bet they forgot that scene happened. I bet they got
No,
to the end of the movie
yeah.
and they wrapped and they're like, didn't Gary Oldman talk
There's
to
a-
those fucking
there's a-
dark presence at
Yeah.
some point? Like, I forgot that happened.
There's a really funny one because they say when the first event happens in Egypt, and they say we come back every 300 years. It says 300 years later, and it is not 300
It's
years later.
349 years later or something.
Something silly like that. It's
You're like,
way
what?
off.
Why?
I didn't even think. Yeah, 300
would
years
you-
later, whatever. It's now 20 whatever. We'll just pick a year.
Literally, they just haven't. I'm sure they thought about it, but there's so much they missed or didn't care about, or
Yeah.
that just again wasn't important to Luc Besson. He was busy
France
doing
had
what he
different
does.
numbers, so. Cinquième, cinquième. I did learn what 15th or 5th was for this.
Wow,
earlier,
why
but
would you do
completely-
15th? The
that would-
15th element? You fucking idiot.
Okay, appreciate that. Hey,
you're
were you
welcome.
about to say earlier that people online love the fact that Gary Oldman and Bruce Willis don't meet?
Yeah.
Dumbest take ever.
Oh, I
People
know.
are like, it's not like any other sci-fi movie because it's bad. And I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Good job. You missed out an element that's key. You needed 6 elements. There should have been the 6th, which was them meeting and having a showdown.
There's no and
so
the
upsetting.
lack of tension. I think at the end, it's so slow and drawn out, and them trying to figure out. Like, of course they're going to figure out how the stones work, and I got no fire.
Did you
Doing
finish
Chris
it
Tucker?
That
beforehand?
wasn't bad. That wasn't terrible.
Did I finish what?
Did you figure it out before they started like working out how they had to get the things to work?
No,
The elements.
I don't
Yeah.
think about this.
My favorite thing is, well, she goes, "What a wind blows," and Bruce was like, "Yep, I know this," and she's going through the elements, but then she gets to Earth and passes out because what would she have said?
Earth, dirty.
Yucky! Like,
Yeah.
what would she have said? Water's wet.
It's
or
rains,
rain falls.
Rain falls,
Yeah.
wind blows.
Fire burns.
Fire burns.
What the
Earth-
fuck? Earth shakes. I guess.
Sprinkle dust.
Earth, you get in
And the-
your fingers.
but also
and
she's the
you-
fifth element,
She's
so she-
turning to Bjork in my impression of her.
I like the little ones.
my name is
And then the
Leo.
fifth element
Stop.
being her is kind of unclear. I think it's love.
A friend
I
of
think
mine,
it's humanity.
A friend of mine told me that.
All right, so if we
yeah.
go back to what
Yeah.
I think the theme of the film is,
Yeah.
dumb, dumbness.
So you're a 4 point.
5.6. I liked
Yeah,
it at the end of the
okay,
day. I
good,
liked
good,
it
good.
because Chris Tucker's funny.
That's so crazy. Like, this movie is
a
at
saving grace.
least maybe a point, maybe 1.5 more for me if Chris Tucker's not in it. I found
So you-
But what are you going to? Where's any sort of levity in life? Because, like
So-
I said at the start, it's a comedy,
Yeah.
right?
But it would be a shorter movie without him in it. And it's a long movie. Like, this movie goes way too long. I got to the it's surprising to me, not that all films need to follow like the modern
2
myth.
hours and 6 minutes.
Yeah, and there's the Dan Harmon story circle or whatever, and not all movies need to follow this, but this movie clearly is like generally playing with that. It's like
Yeah.
a hero's journey.
Yeah.
It's an hour before he accepts the call to adventure, which is I'll take the tickets and I'll go to that. Like before that, he's
I'm
met
so
Lilu
glad you've read this
and got-
storytelling filmmaking book.
Thank you. He like hands off Lilu to Ian Holm, and
Yeah.
that's it. That's the only thing Bruce Willis has done in the first hour of the film, except almost get mugged by that guy at his door, which again is really funny because he's wearing a hat that makes it look like I can't get my gun to work. And then when he gets the gun,
does the
But
dance.
what's wrong with that guy?
He's a tweaker, man.
I've never seen a tweaker look that bad. I don't understand.
You live
it.
in Windsor.
For those who don't know, Windsor's a really classy suburb.
That's what I'm saying. You haven't seen a tweaker before.
It's a bit.
Yeah,
Go
true.
with the program.
It's full of young families.
So, Tom, you're getting. See, we enjoyed Ruby. I enjoy.
Yeah.
I feel like if the comedy is anywhere in this film, then it kind of lands. I think it's at least him trying to bring some like energy.
At
to
least
the
he's
comedy.
trying.
Right.
Thank God for him.
And I think there's some good bits, and there's a lot of sexual innuendos and whatever, and it's sort
The
of like
bit where the montage of him having sex with the flight attendant,
Yeah.
and them taking off,
Him just
and,
gloriously going down on her. I mean, that's it. Like,
Gloriously.
He's a generous man. Like,
but I thought he was using his hair tuft.
Sure.
well, that
Maybe
you
a
can
lot of
think
hairspray
that.
in there.
You
It's
can
quite
think that.
firm.
Right.
It would get in the way. It's like this microphone. You'd be like, boom,
But so
boom, boom.
so Ruby to you was more like the Jar Jar Binks of this.
What, wonderful
I like Jar Jar Binks. Yeah,
See-
that's an insight. I think Jar Jar Binks is great.
You're the problem.
No. Jar Jar Binks
You're
is
the-
elected a senator. The man has dignity and grace.
everyone knows he's secretly a Sith Lord, so you're bad.
Tom,
You're evil.
did you laugh when he did that 20-second continuous scream as the bomb's going on?
No, but I told you we spent like a few days together last week and we talked about this movie
Consecutively?
briefly. Yeah, it was amazing. It was one of the times.
Didn't sleep.
Yeah. And
Thanks for the invite.
we watched The Evil Dead actually.
Yeah, we did.
Which was great.
It was
That's
great.
why you weren't there. Well, we didn't invite you, but also we had a movie
Also
on, you
PP.
would have been. Anyway, you said, I'm curious as to what you're going to say, Tom, about The Fifth Element. And I said, yeah, I'm a little worried about Chris Tucker. I just don't want it to be the camera on his face as he screams nonstop. And you went, oh. I was like, right, well, now I'm worried. And he does that for so much of the film. I like when he's holding the gun to the Blorg and Schmorgan thing and he gets surprised and he pulls the trigger and he's like, what's his name? Herbert Dallas? What's Bruce Willis' character's name?
Corbin.
Corbin Dallas.
Yeah.
Corbin, you think he's going to be okay? Like after he's just shot the dude in the back of the head. I laughed at that.
2 seconds before when he's like, I got a headache. I feel sick. I'm not made for this. It's like, just, I don't know. I find him really, because he's such a charismatic presenter and then he has that moment of weakness. It's funny. It's good to see.
I don't enjoy him in this. You know, if I'm going to
Who
answer
do
the
you
question,
enjoy in this?
I was just about to say, the deaf child star.
Oh, come on.
That guy has 3 scenes, 3 moments.
I feel like they ripped him out of Zoolander.
And one of them is Corbin just being like, throw me the gun! And he goes, huh? And throws him 2 pool balls and then gives him a massive thumbs up. Funniest thing that happened in the film.
That is a good
lost
bit.
my shit laughing. I was like, God, that's funny. Because they just stretch it out for so long.
that
You're like,
it is
he's
funny.
got to throw him the gun eventually.
But going back to my theme
Never
of
does.
going back to my theme of dumb, why didn't Bruce Willis just go gun? Just do a gun signal.
Because that would have ruined the
I
great
know,
joke.
but he's so dumb.
They don't have that in France.
They do.
Dude,
I've seen The Revolution.
no offense to anyone,
On
but
camera.
he's a cab driver in the future.
He's not a cab driver.
He's not educated.
He's ex-army or whatever they call it over there. He had a Medal of Honor.
alive.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's educated. Anyone can join the Army Reserves.
Wow. You're really talking about our education system and the way they recruit from low socioeconomic schools. That's rough, man. Come on.
Whoa, man.
They do. That's why Tom went to the army, dumbass.
Imagine Tom in the Army.
Do one push-up. Do one push-up right now.
Now we're just getting mean.
Getting?
Yeah. It's unnecessary.
I told you to. Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
Nice bit.
What's next?
Okay,
Are we done?
No,
we
wait,
can
come on.
I have things to
Jesus.
say. We could get in the Butler's Pantry.
Do you know who
Get in
is
the
good?
Butler's
We're not ready for Butler's
Pantry?
Pantry.
All right, cool.
I want to
Who
talk
do
about
you
Ian
think's
Holm. Ian Holm is fantastic.
He is fantastic. Thank you. I think he's fantastic in any film he jumps into. I think
Yeah,
that he at
in the
least,
2 films he's been in, he's great. This, Lord of
Wow,
the Rings.
you are
What
so-
else? I can't picture him in anything.
Frank's never seen Alien, obviously.
I haven't. Scary.
Ian does. He commits to roles really well, and I imagine him to be the type of guy who would probably read this script if there even was one. And
There
kind
was.
of- and
That's
ki-
what Bruce Willis joined because of the script.
See, but Bruce also did Hudson Hawk.
Yeah, dumb. See? It's ringing true.
Bruce Willis can't read French, guys. I'm telling you, he was too embarrassed to say, I don't want to look like an idiot. I'll just say I'll do it.
I feel like Ian probably wasn't loving this, but he's just like, whatever. I'm in it. I committed to it, and I'm going to give my all to this particular character.
And I think
And
he's
does.
he's a bit of a sci-fi fantasy
Yeah.
guy.
He's a genre dude.
yeah,
He was in. He's
truly.
in,
He's a genre dude.
Chariots of Fire, right? But apart from that, I think he's mostly like The Day After Tomorrow and Lord of the Rings and Alien and this. Like, yeah, he's a guy we recognize as part of that.
But he's so
convention.
sincere, hey.
And then Garden State, which we were talking about
Oh,
the other
yeah,
day. randomly.
he's Zach Braff's
Zach
dad.
Braff's dad.
Way too old.
Not great casting, but he's pretty good at it.
But like we just said, he's good in everything.
Yeah.
Because I think he's a committed person.
Yeah.
And he's so warm. You're always on his side. I think whatever he's doing, like
Even when
I
he's-
believe you and I want you to do well.
Even when he's flip flopping around, like and hitting someone in the back of the head and being like villainesque at times, it's kind of cute and funny. And
Yeah, because he's so unsure and he's
Yeah.
so little and weak.
yeah, and he doesn't mean it. Like he's like almost apologetic about. Yeah, he's like.
It doesn't feel like he's the me of
Yeah,
pod.
he's
Is this what we're getting at?
Little and weak. Do you get it?
No, it's a bit of a thinker.
Dumb. Oh man.
Ian Hull is pretty good in this. I think the scene where he's kind of getting drunk, where they're at the station.
Yeah, it's
the
fun.
scene at the station is an example of something that I wish
Should have been shorter.
it should have been funnier. I wish I could have been on board with. Someone keeps coming up and saying they're Corbin Dallas, and everyone's here at the station. All these people have gathered together, and I was just like, "Can we move this along?" Like this.
It was so drawn out.
yes.
Yeah.
There was no idea that,
yeah.
we're going to have three of them doing this because the third one just happened. And I was like, who is this guy again? Why is he pretending to be Corbin Dallas? It didn't work in literally he had 3 seconds with the flight attendant. She was like, no, you're not Corbin Dallas. Bye. And that was it.
It feels like the editors maybe just quit halfway through the project and Besson just took over.
That actually could be the case.
It kind of has that feeling about it.
I feel like Mila Jovovich took over in character as Lilu.
Yeah,
in this
yeah,
film.
yeah.
She was
She's a perfect being.
Yes, I mean she's
She's not, though.
Tom, you
the clothing design. You talked about the art design.
Yeah.
Jean Paul Gaultier did all the costumes, and while some of them, I've read
I
them
love
for
his
filth
song,
already.
Somebody That I Used to Know.
Tom,
I wish Frank was somebody that I used to know.
my favorite part of any episode is when Tom turns his body physically away from Frank, and that's it. You're closed off now
Yep.
for the remainder of time.
I'll get it back. I'll get it back.
Got to work for
That
it.
was funny.
Marcus. I'm
is a
sorry,
good
you were saying something.
So Jean-Paul Gaultier did the costume design.
He did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
bonsoir.
The art direction, the costume design, the CGI, by the way, is ahead of its time. I think that it's one of the few that still holds up today. It's not Jurassic Park, nothing ever will be. But I think it's almost strangely on par with The Mummy in a way. I think that the CGI aspects of this film mixed with animatronics and
lot of-
puppetry
Yeah, because the practical
really
effects
match
are
up.
good. Yeah.
Practical effects and visual special effects are all pretty great.
Yeah, and I enjoyed the aesthetic of the film. Like those big pig-looking dudes. What are they called? Corblins.
Yeah.
What's his
Baublins?
name is Zorg, isn't he? Or Zorg? Gary Oldman's, or is he
Zorg.
Korg?
No, he's Zorg.
He's Zorg.
Zorg.
Yeah.
But he's got like a long, he is like Jean-Baptiste,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
Zorg. What's
Yeah.
his, go on, what's his accent? Give us a,
Cajun.
can you,
It could be.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
It feels like it's...
Is it actually Cajun? Because it.
I thought he was doing...
I thought he was doing like Tennessee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought Billy
thought
Bob
that.
Thornton
Yeah.
to start with. But
To me,
then-
it's always been Tennessee.
But
Or
Gary
like
Oldman has this thing-
Southern-esque.
Gary Oldman's only weakness is when he's doing an accent. Sometimes it'll slip. You hear it even as Commissioner Gordon. It's like there's a line or two where you go,
Yeah.
English?
His other weakness is
Which
being
is
a
a-
massive dickhead. But yes, you're right. There is.
Don't. All right. Well, let's not
I think
delve
Gary
in. Hang
Oldman- I
on.
think Gary Oldman's a great actor. He's
No.
definitely one of those people where I'm like, maybe one of my favorite actors who I couldn't stand. sitting
Yeah.
next
No,
to
he's
on
one
an
of
airplane.
one of
What?
many. I would.
Why?
agree.
What's he done?
Do we have to do
I don't
this?
think we have to get into it.
I don't think we
read,
have to do
read
this.
his Playboy interview from 2014.
He
It's atrocious.
he said some very very controversially bad things in support of someone else who's controversially bad.
He's a big Trump
It's
fan.
he just railroaded his own career in the weirdest way.
They railroaded me.
But they railroaded him. But he then still came back and did Mank a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys, Mank's good. And
Right.
it's probably one of his better
It's his own
accents.
Citizen Kane.
You're not getting me back, Frank. All right? I'm turning even further away.
But you love that classic film.
I love Gary Oldman in this film.
Rosebud.
I think he's an excellent villain that was underutilized. I think he's
Bad villain.
bad villain.
Overutilized. Yeah, because he's useless.
I think that's kind of funny that he's no good, but I wish
Yeah, but
I was like, Bruce Willis is going to destroy this man.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to that so much.
Yeah.
They're
You can't
meeting
do
up and
anything.
him doing a feat like, oh, my nemesis. No, don't know what
I
he's
don't know how to use this gun.
doing. Yeah, and then Bruce Willis just beat slaps
Mr.
him.
West.
I would have been so into it. And no, it's just him blowing up. It's so anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I think it's so weak. And then I was like, all right, well, the movie's almost done. And then they call Bruce Willis and they're like, you still need to find the fifth element, fucko. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It has two storylines that they have to resolve, and it's not timed out very well. Also, who's the president and what's he doing?
Well,
Nothing.
that's Tiny Lister, Tim Tiny Lister. He was
Yeah.
a WWE wrestler. He's also the guy in The Dark Knight.
Yes, we know.
Where he's on the boat and he's the one who gets the trigger device.
You
off the
want to do the thing.
Yeah.
You don't have the courage
It's
to.
so good. He's so good in that. So
He's
I saw
great.
him in this and I was like, oh, okay, I like that
He's
guy.
bad in this.
Yeah, he's not great.
It's also useless writing. Like, why is the president there just sitting around doing nothing?
yeah.
But again,
Well,
this
imagine
is
if we had presidents like that. That would be awful.
we say this time and time again. If you haven't bought in from the start, you never will. With the cartoonishness of this entire thing, with the sci-fi elements, with sci-fi, the rules are what you deem them to be. Right? You can make your own sci-fi world. You don't have to follow the trajectory of some other sci-fi film.
But he does. It follows the trajectory of all of them.
In a derivative way, I agree.
Yeah,
But I see what you mean
sure.
about the rules, and the president doesn't need to do anything.
He's done a blender of sci-fi here. Like
'Cause
he's
that's why,
picking and
it's
choosing what he
E.T.,
wants.
but it's also Star Wars.
Yeah,
but it's also kind of a little
It's
bit.
misguided. The worst thing about this film is Luke Besson.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, I think he makes a couple of pretty wild swings that I'm like,
So what of his then do you like?
One cut. There's a cut that I loved. Ian Holm has just hit Bruce Willis in the head.
Yep.
And he steps away, and it cuts. It's a match cut. Boom! He's in the hallway, and it looks like Ian Holm teleports.
I remember
Incredible cut. I was like, wow, that was so cool and style. And I hadn't seen much like that before, and I was like, that's great. That's kind of it.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I did love. No. There's a joke bit. I love when Bruce Willis pushed the grand piano with one hand. He's really strong.
I can't remember.
Do you know how heavy they are?
Wait,
I truly don't remember.
I
that.
can't
It's
even
when Mila
remember that.
Jovovich is stuck in the ceiling after the opera scene.
Yeah.
It's on wheels.
Vaguely.
It's
It's Bruce Willis.
Yay.
I'm turning
Turn
my
away
back
from
to
me.
you.
Turn away from me.
You are.
Fuck, this is how this feels.
Hey,
It's
what about
so cold.
what about Lee Evans? Why is
So
he in it?
Lee Evans-
Kind of great that Lee Evans is in it.
I kind
But
of wish
again, it's
he
a
was-
comedy, right?
It is.
Because he's a comedy guy.
is.
This is my confusion.
It's a camp film. Like,
If Luke did write this solely, I just don't think he's a comedy writer. I think it's as simple as that. I think you've got actors that can pull off comedy. They're going upstream without a paddle with this script, trying to find the comedy in this.
Yeah.
And it's just not there.
It's
So,
not there. Chris Tucker's funny. Bruce Willis with Chris
Yeah.
Tucker, not funny when he's doing the one word answers. It's
Yeah,
it's not dry enough to be funny.
It's not snappy enough either. No.
Terrible timing.
Yeah.
I like
We could have done this better.
the weird Frenchness that Luke Besson brings to this.
I have
which
a
is
question on this after.
The McDonald's shit. Like stuff like that, where the cops are getting McDonald's and then when they chase down Bruce Willis and they run into a McDonald's truck and it's Big Macs everywhere. And he's like, oh, you Americans and your flying cars and your Big Macs. Like, this is how he sees things. And there's a little bit of me that's like, that's funny. It's stupid, but it's funny. And I like that if he's the director, and I tend to credit directors as the main architects of their films, he makes some weird inclusive choices like the baby elephant, like the deaf grown-up movie star, baby, whatever his name is, the opera scene, Maïwenn dancing, and then when she gets shot And Bruce Willis is like, where are the stones? And literally 2 seconds before she said it, I was like, oh my God, they're inside her. And she went, they're inside
It's in my tummy.
And I was like, I like that he clearly didn't tell Bruce Willis what he was going to see
She's
in the
doing
opera
this.
scene.
She's doing this.
He's
Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
No.
He's patting his head and rubbing his tummy.
Very coordinated.
Yeah.
Very good.
Bruce Willis's face every time they cut to shots of him
Yep.
watching that opera, you can tell they were like, just react the way you would to what you're going to see. And the look on his face is, what the fuck am I watching? Like, he's so befuddled by that.
That's actually a trademark of Luc Besson. Is he doesn't show you like character designs or costumes or
Really?
tests. You rock up to set, you like action. For example, Mila Jovovich falling in the car. Bruce Willis hadn't seen her in costume.
See,
So
I
she-
kind of like
Yeah,
that.
at least that's interesting.
how it feels.
But he shouldn't be with young girls. I just
No.
can't
Well,
get past it.
okay. We've covered this. We're not going back on it.
Okay, sorry. I just
The-
wanted-
Marcus,
whole-
what is your defense of Luc Besson?
I don't think he
There's
needs
not
to
much.
defend.
Here's my whole-
no, sorry, I mean his personal life.
It's not funny.
I know, I'm sorry. It was
pretty funny.
I apologize.
That was pretty funny.
Have you seen Asterix? Any of the Asterix?
No, I've
I'm aware
tried.
of
They're
them.
not. They're not
Because
great.
they're French films and they are insane.
Yeah.
So I think if I'd had the lens of, because I watched that in 10 years ago in Indonesia,
Yeah.
and I was like, where am I? What's my life? And then if
Woke
I
up
had
this
if I
morning
had
with the
that
same
lens
feeling.
coming into this, thinking it was going to be reminiscent of that French style, I would have
Yeah.
been like, okay, maybe more into it.
Here's my hot take. I think if this was made today and you gave this as if this was a Terry Gilliam film,
Oh,
it would work.
Yeah, well, it feels like it wants to be 12
It's-
Monkeys.
it's sub-Gilliam,
kind of.
right?
Although 12 Monkeys is earlier. No, 12 Monkeys is earlier than this. No, maybe it's not.
yeah, I think it is.
No, probably
97 is this. It
It'd be
could even
close.
almost be the same year. Shit, I should know that. But regardless, I
Interesting.
know what you're saying. Or Brazil, sort of like it's got that
Sure,
same.
sure.
It wants to have a commentary on something. But I think he's a little more, dare I say, than Terry Gilliam, like unhinged, even though Terry Gilliam is like the
12 Monkeys. Sorry, 95 was 12 Monkeys.
All right,
Fifth
so it's a
Element's
couple
97.
years earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like it's in, and that's what the Bruce Willis I like, where you say he's so watchable. I don't disagree. When he's on screen in this, I'm like, I'm engaged. It's Bruce Willis, you know. It's Bruce Willis before
he does the beaten down cop, the hard on his luck cab driver, like whatever, really, really well.
Yeah.
If you're gonna give a guy a singlet and some sweat stains and a weird sort of subplot romance in an action film, give it to Bruce Willis.
He's the
any
perfect
day of the
like
week.
working class action hero.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He's my least favorite part of The Sixth Sense. I'm just going to throw that out there. That's controversial.
You know,
but
I've still not seen it.
I just don't.
You really enjoy that movie. I can't think of any obstacles to you enjoying it.
It's not even scary. But the thing is, I don't.
You would find The Sixth Sense very scary. Certain moments of it very scary.
Oh,
It's a good movie.
I watched.
Back on the film we're talking
I
about.
apologize.
Fucking hell.
It's but Frank was looking at us
Oh
like, is
my
The Sixth Sense a horror
I
movie?
thought it was more
God.
like. I thought it was sad.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
it's all those things.
It's a bit PP driven.
Okay.
Yep. Tom, where do you think my favorite Bruce Willis performance is?
That's a good question.
Die Hard 4.
Is it one of the Die Hards?
No.
And it's not Pulp Fiction?
No.
Okay. Because he's very good in Pulp
I
Fiction.
think he's very good in Pulp Fiction. Same thing though, like down on his luck boxer.
Look who's talking.
Sure.
I love him in Sin City. I
use
really
of him.
like him in
Yeah.
that film
I
for
think
the
that's a
same
good-
reason,
that's a good
right?
call.
And he does the romance subplot in there very well as well. Like it's kind of similar in a weird way.
The less he does in Sin City, the more compelling it is.
Yeah.
Because of the way that film is shot, because of the hyper stylized, and they're doing the same thing with Clive Owen.
Yeah.
So that Mickey Rourke in the middle can be the fucking madman
Yeah.
who's like, I'm gonna go for a swing with
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
But the guys either side of
Mickey
him are
Rourke
doing
did
the
that.
really stoic. Yeah, weirdly, if you can imagine. Mickey Rourke is that movie's so good. I have to rewatch. Sin
Oh,
City.
we do. I think we should do it on the pod. Frank, you've seen it, right?
Several times.
Okay. Well, maybe. I don't know. I was less interested after I knew you'd seen it.
I didn't say I liked it.
My point is, What was my point? We're talking about
You
Bruce
were talking
Willis.
about Bruce Willis, and you said
Fucking
you love
nice.
him because you love the way he plays hardened, gruff guys down on their luck.
Yeah.
The archetype of the dude who's
And it works.
one day from retirement, or he's just about to lose the points on his license as
Yeah.
the driver, and a woman falls into his life, and he just gets that glimmer back in his
Which
eyes.
he literally says prior to that, like, I haven't found the perfect girl yet. He's got this weird, like, stylized cigarette in his mouth, which has, like, a longer butt.
It's
than it
all
does.
filter, less
Yeah,
serious.
that's
They're all
it.
trying to quit, right?
Kind of funny.
That's a nice
And he-
world touch.
And he's talking about,
I didn't get that. That's funny. I truly didn't get that.
Look at that pancake. That
I
is
thought
so
it was
funny.
a future cigarette. I just didn't get it.
You didn't see it?
Sorry? The cigarette.
Yeah.
I
The whole-
saw it, and I was like, future cigarette.
Because there's like 3 mentions of
yeah.
you're trying to quit.
Yeah.
You get 4 cigarettes a day.
I didn't get it. I'm
What,
sorry.
you've never seen a cigarette before, you loser?
Anyway, he's saying he's waiting for the perfect girl, and then he finds quite literally the perfect by design girl. As
Yeah,
she's
except she
supposed
can't
to be.
speak the language.
Yeah.
And he
And
kisses
I-
her when she's asleep.
I agree. She's meant to be this perfect weapon, perfect human. We only get one fight scene out of her, which unfortunately is broken up with a weird slapstick slapping of the creatures as well.
Yeah. And then when she pulls her
yeah.
fist back and hits the guy behind her.
yeah.
I
And
just,
see-
hey, guess what? Kind of liked it.
Okay.
I'm like,
so,
hey, because
so-
it's got the music as well, which
yeah.
helps.
But Tom, everything I've heard you say today is that you only bought into this film at its silliest moments.
Yeah.
Which were, except for Chris Tucker, which someone would argue.
Yeah.
I think if that performance is better or out of the film,
Mm-hmm.
I do like this movie quite a bit more. He's actually quite like harmful.
Holy
He causes me a problem in this film. I don't like when he's on screen. I don't think his obnoxiousness translates to anything.
I mean, he's the entire second act, really.
Most of it, yeah, or a lot. He's a big part of it. The second he started doing the walking down the hallway and the like
The reality
snap
TV,
edit,
yeah.
yes, and he's like talking about his persona and who he is and how he's going to introduce Corbin Dallas and all this stuff. I was like, well, this immediately isn't working for me, so I'm in trouble. And
You are.
almost nothing he did afterwards. But I did like him accidentally shooting the Blorg.
Did you
And I
like-
liked when Bruce Willis like seesaw catapulted a Blorg up into the roof, and
Yep.
then he's like, ah! And trying to hit its
Push it-
head.
push
I'm
it
like,
down.
That just looks too funny to not be funny. It
Yeah.
looks ridiculous.
What
Yeah.
about the scene at the end where he's like, I haven't got no fire? And then, because he's kind of vulnerable at that point, how'd you feel?
I didn't take any of his registers as anything more than shrill. Like
My least
Flip
favorite
flops.
part of the film is the final bit, the conclusion with
The forced
the
elements
forced
and her in the
stones,
final
and
one.
I hate it.
The big beam in the sky might have been
Yeah.
one of the first big beams in the sky.
to be honest,
It's impressive.
I don't know if that's the first big beam in the sky. I mean, you know,
97.
in 97, the
Yeah,
first
there's-
big
I think
beam
never-
going up into the.
But
no
now,
one had thought
now,
of
you,
this
Hey, Tom,
now you see
Tom.
it 3 times a year.
name another one.
Yeah, name another one.
Isn't there a
Otherwise
big beam
you're
in
wrong.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Like literally,
No.
there's a beam. Like
Well,
coming
Tom,
down-
sorry,
that
Tom,
big
was that a
music
question?
Name another one.
Was that a question or a statement?
Was that?
Yeah.
Do you know what bit I didn't like is when Mila Jovovich says she hasn't got to V yet. He's trying to teach her a V word, right?
Yeah, there's a great V word in there.
Yeah.
I love it. Come back when you find it.
And then she goes and learns, and he goes, wait, they're waking up or at the end or what? I don't know when. I was losing interest at this point. But he goes through V words with her. He's looking at her. He's like, valiant, vulnerable, very beautiful. It's like you couldn't think of a third V word. Very.
Because he's screaming in his head, don't say vagina. Like, just please say anything but.
Which
and
was
I'm like,
that was
say it,
in the
man.
script. That was in the script, vagina.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I can't. Bruce Willis, a character wouldn't say
That
that.
checks out. He's real. Yeah.
He's a
made
real
that.
stand-up guy.
That's a chivalrous man.
Frank
but
making up trivia.
I told Kath when she's like, how was Fifth Element? We went for a walk after I watched it. I was like, there's a scene where Mila Jovovich cries watching war footage for 30 seconds, and then it ends with her being like, why is humanity so bad to each other? And I was just like, yeah, no, I can't with this.
She doesn't sound like a little French girl.
She sounds like Bjork. This is
No.
canon.
She kinda
Marcus,
does.
Marcus, this is a weapon on a pirate ship. All right?
Marcus,
It's canon.
he's.
Thank you, Frank.
I'm turning my back. Do you want to go MVP?
MVP.
We Butler's Pantry MVP because I got a little bit. That was well played.
Thank you.
That sounded really nice. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we did
Frank-
all right.
I wasn't paying
It's probably
attention.
good we didn't get Frank to do the third part.
Yeah, I can't get that high. I need Chris Tucker.
Pantry it up. Go off you go.
Real quick, which is basically just
Real
that.
quick. Don't preface it with real
You should
quick.
never say real quick.
That's our Tom.
Sci-fi movies
Yep.
can be played very straight and very fun and adventurous. Obviously, Star Wars, like spacefaring.
Oh, yeah.
They can be very camp, like this movie.
You're saying Star Wars is not camp?
I think it's
Dude.
not
It's not that-
at- it's
it's
not
mid-range-
compared with
mid-range
these, yes.
camp.
I think it's
Sure.
I think it was taken largely at face value at the time, and it's the age with it. Whereas I think this movie came out and people were like, "Oh, we're intense here." Like that's what's happening. But then
Camping.
Oh, no. See, R2D2, I'm lost. It's a big camp.
You think he sounds camp. That's not what that means.
I think the whole thing's a bit campy.
I think C-3PO is the most, though, right?
Sure.
And even that's
Easy
a thing where
example.
It feels like it took stand-up comedians to the 80s to be like, so that droid's gay, right? Like that feels like that
It took a while.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyway. Camp.
It's weird that he's the only gay character in the whole Star Wars universe.
It's not true.
Yeah,
Darth Maul. They just never bring it up.
he's mauling those.
Double-sided lightsaber. What do you think that's for?
What is this? Requiem for a Dream?
Fucking two
Continue.
dudes.
Oh, is this the pantry?
Side to side.
Back in the pantry.
Back in the pantry.
Oh my
They can be
gosh.
very thrilling and fun and adventurous like Star Wars. They can be very camp like this movie. They can be very gnarly like Event Horizon, which you and I watched together, Marcus.
Gnarly!
Gnarly!
Cool.
I really think my favorite is gnarly, typically, but I also think they can all kind of be both. My favorite version of this kind of movie is like something like Starship Troopers or something like Alien Resurrection, which are different films, but they have their own very excessive qualities to them. You know?
They're different films?
They're very-
Oh my gosh, I thought they were the same film.
No, they are different films.
Ah,
I checked it out.
thank
I looked it up. They're
you.
not part of the singularity. So we've got a movie that I shouldn't use quantum terms around Frank. I
love Ant-Man.
think that Jean-Paul Jeunet, is it Jean-Paul Jeunet? Whatever, the guy who directed Alien Resurrection. You've seen Alien Resurrection.
Is that the
haven't you,
new
Marcus?
one?
Yes.
No, that's Alien Romulus.
Oh, yeah.
which is Fede
Ugh,
Alvarez.
I forget.
No, yes. And then Resurrection, that movie's fucked up, right?
Yeah, truly.
It's silly.
Truly.
But I kind of think that's the sort of version I prefer, where it's a little grosser. It's a little bit more maybe grotty. You know, it gets... And I think if this movie were a little grottier...
Yeah, because
Or a lot
you're
funnier.
You're talking now about like more industrial sci-fi, like the metals and everything like that. I mean, this is all...
But also...
it is oversaturated with color and
Yeah.
and popping.
But it could be
It's
gorier.
cartoonish.
This movie, you expressed surprise that it was PG. Give me the R-rated version of this movie. I think it's way better. I think it's a much better film if they just go,
Yeah.
fuck it.
You really
Like,
want to see Chris Tucker go down on that girl with his hair?
Yeah.
just,
Well,
I
no,
think
okay.
You want to see that.
Just curious of the
Tom,
mechanics.
I don't disagree with you, but it's an entirely different film.
Agreed, but a film I'd prefer better. And I think a film that has much more leeway and leverage to just do whatever the fuck it wants
Yeah.
in a way that
I wish
find
The Godfather was a
admire.
musical. You know, like that's kind of the same.
You're right. Godfather really needs
You're in luck,
improvement
pal.
is the thing. And I think most people listening to this will go, Marcus did just compare The Fifth Element to The Godfather, and that's fine with us.
I think Lin-Manuel's been working on
Don't
one,
twist
hasn't he?
my words, you mother.
You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding. I gotta get out because my head is getting sweaty.
I regret.
Sweaty
I
wedding,
regret
that's not
even
bad.
saying
Before
the
she
example.
gets with her husband and has a betting.
Eliza.
No, I've invited this behavior in.
that's
I'm
not my
so
joke.
sorry to the listener.
All good. The Butler's Pantry is essentially just saying that these movies were pretty prevalent throughout the 90s, like these ultra, either graphic or very excessive, bombastic
Stylized,
sci-fi
very
films.
stylized.
Very stylized. And I don't think this is my favorite type of it. I think, like, just talking with you guys about it,
Wait.
I've said like 10 things that I'm like, this made me laugh, this made me smile. And I'm like, oh, I liked this more than I thought I did. I think I am
I
like,
also think this is ridiculous. You've just done a pantry, which is you giving yourself 5 minutes to say, I didn't like it. Which is what
Yeah.
the whole...
and then I've finished it with, but I actually kind of like, I think I liked it.
But
So
no,
more
but
than that.
the
Frank,
Butler's
did you
Pantry is
learn-
meant to be about
But
the
it's-
back of house.
Well, the Butler's Pantry. Okay, if you want to know the comparison between the trend of what was going on with
He
this,
I
opened
don't.
time.
I don't. I would have to... Let's talk
Paul
about...
Verhoeven, like direct Starship Troopers, a
Yeah.
European guy making this Americanized genre, just the same way that we've got here with Luc
And a
Besson,
real satirical
Jean-Paul
message,
Jeunet
right?
With
Yeah.
Alien. Yeah, and I mean, I think this film's satirical in its way. It's because it feels like he's cast almost entirely American actors. He's like, this is me basically making fun of America.
But it's lacking the cleverness that I think you're looking for.
I would either want it to be cleverer or grosser. I'm okay with either. And the French are great at gross. and they think they're good at clever.
You heard it here. You heard it first.
The Substance is a great contemporary example of that is a movie that is not that smart and it's so fucking gross, and it's one of my favorite movies of last year. And it's French. It's what they do. They're funny.
Frank, he opened the episode with the Butler's Pantry. Let's be fair.
That's true. And that was great.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Well, should we move on to MVP? That was you. Ian Holm.
Ooh.
Chris Tucker. No, Ian Holm.
Okay.
I just love him. I love to see him.
Yeah.
And you believe him, and you want him to win. You want him to succeed.
Yeah. I get that. I'm giving it to Miller.
I think I am too.
I think that this film kind of doesn't work without her. I mean, for obvious points, but I think that she commits to the concept enough, and she's let down by an undercooked story and just poor writing choices overall.
Yeah, she could be way more annoying. In fact, she's not at all. I find her really endearing, and that's an easy role to kind of be like, this kind of.
It could have easily been bad. I agree.
Messiah
That's such a good
character, but it's so you can't communicate with them, and they keep doing stuff they don't understand.
Yep.
It's like having a baby. I think my son is the Messiah.
Okay,
that's the
pretty
subtext
sure that's
to
what
that.
you were going
Yeah,
for there.
that's good. All right, is anyone going to throw anything in?
Yeah, I'll go up to 5.9.
Whoa! Wait. Wait. Yeah.
What was your original score?
5. I'm going up.
That's a
She's
whole
gone
point.
from oh my god!
Yeah, that's why we did this.
I'm panicking. Have you ever done that before?
He's never listened.
I don't know if I've ever gone quite.
He's
that
not
far.
gone from dislike to like before.
He's never listened to us ever.
No.
No, I've never gone from dislike to like. You're right, and I do actually think I have to kind of go.
This is
like,
monumental.
Yeah, this is kind of like a funnish movie. Flick might not maim me. No, she might not murder
she's
me.
gonna.
She's
Yeah.
gonna
She'll maim
me.
you.
Although she'll let me live, but it won't be a happy life.
She's gonna.
Can I throw down to a 5.5? I was 5.6, and now I just still feel even more
talked
on the
yourself
fence.
down on it.
Yeah,
Conflicted.
like this, it's confusing.
Yeah.
Marcus, any change?
No.
Oh
No, I'm gonna sit.
No, I think some very valid points about the way in which this film, and a lot of the time, embraces itself and its silliness in a way that's fun. It's hard not to find it fun.
It has a huge cult following.
It's easy not to
Huge.
find it
A
fun.
huge anti-cult following as well.
No, of course.
It's
So
crazy.
I think it's a good film for this exact forum.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for listening to Throw in the Power. My name is Frank.
My name is Marcus.
My name's Tom.
And that was The Fifth Element.
It was
was.
love.
Next week, we're doing The Sixth Element.
What's that? Love.
The Sikhs,
Sixth?
as in like Indian religion, the Sikhs element.
Why are you yelling at me?
Why did you say it?
Funny! Bye.
Through the past.